Hey everybody, this is Steve Monday, Chief Forecaster with Rowan County Weather, here for another edition of the Rowan County Weather Podcast. We're going to bring our guest on in just a moment, but before we do, let's go ahead and take a moment to thank the advertising partner that helps make the Rowan County Weather Podcast possible, and that would be William Ryan Enterprises, located at 1600 North Main Street in China Grove. They have three companies under their umbrella there, but William Ryan Enterprises sponsors the forecast here, or excuse me, the podcast here on Rowan County Weather, and we're delighted to have them with us. You can call the number you see here on your screen or scan that QR code for more details. If you're watching on the video, you can actually take your finger and long tap on that QR code. So just press your finger on the code and hold it there, and your phone will automatically detect the code and take you directly to their social media page for more details. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at who our guest today is on the Rowan County Weather Podcast.
Park to begin the playoffs.
Yeah, Layne was top 10 yesterday in practice, guys. So obviously teammate to Stuart Friesen for Halmar Racing. A lot of success in that family with Scott Riggs, his dad, a five-time winner in the Truck Series, as well as a four-time winner in the Xfinity Series.
Joining us now is Layne Riggs from Front Row Motorsports, driver of the number 38 Ford F-150 in the NASCAR Truck Series. Layne, welcome with us here on the Rowan County Weather Podcast.
Hey, it's good to be on here. Glad to talk a little bit of racing today.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I got to speak before the Darlington race, or Darlington. I'm going back way too far here. We got to speak before the North Wilkesboro race this past weekend, and then again after. And you were when the race restarted on Saturday. Excuse me. Let me start that over again because this whole weekend's been combobulated for us. When the race restarted on Sunday, after all that rain that took place Saturday at the track, you were starting on in 19th for the restart, and ended up having a very strong finish to finish third in the race. Tell us about what was going on as you got to restart and go through the day on Sunday.
Yeah, it was kind of different having that break between races. It's like it almost got split up into two completely separate races because everybody got to go back and work on their cars, make sure they didn't have any water damage, which we saw a lot of them were almost flooded. So it kind of everybody got to reset and kind of act like it's a completely new race, which I kind of felt like it didn't really work out in our favor because I thought we were really good on Saturday, and a lot of people around me I could tell were struggling on the track, really loose or really tight, and I feel like we were pretty solid. So, giving them an opportunity to work on their stuff, I didn't really have to. I thought I was pretty solid. So I think we could have done even better, finished second or even won if they didn't happen and they didn't have to work on the trucks. So but it was a good day for us. We needed that. I knew we had a strong truck at practice. I knew at the beginning of the race that we had a good shot at it if we just execute, and we did. And nothing really stood in our way. So I was really happy with that. I think that in the end, it just really fought tight. At the end, just couldn't quite turn like I wanted to. And I think it's just because we took tires so early and we had to just guess what the track was going to do by the end of the race. We didn't have an opportunity to come back in for another pit stop and adjust on it to get it better. We were just kind of stuck with what we had. So had to make the most of it. And, I think we were about a third, fourth place truck in the end. We finished third. So I was really happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a great race overall. I feel like the truck race actually kind of overshadowed with obviously what happened post race Sunday night. That's really taken the big story. But the truck race obviously put on the better show, in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of folks really feel that way if they go back and actually look at the racing action overall. The last 10 laps of that race was really, I was kind of stressed out just watching it, down in the media center and out in the infield. How was it for you behind the wheel in the last 10 laps of that race?
No, they were holding on for me. It was the truck handling really took a toll. We actually started cording the right front tire, and it was straight just defense mode. Do all I can to just hold these guys off behind me because I know I wasn't going forward. It's just how far back am I going to go? So I did all I could. I pulled all my tricks, short track tricks in the book to make it happen and hold those guys off. And just glad that they really knew it wasn't for a whole lot, so they didn't, knock me out of the way or dump me or anything. So I appreciate Grant and Queen for running me clean there at the end. They were definitely faster and they were patient with me though, so I appreciate that. But it was tough. Those last 10 laps, I had to really dig deep.
Yeah, So now we're getting ready to head into Charlotte Motor Speedway here coming up this week. We go from essentially one legendary track here in North Carolina to another. As we go into Charlotte Motor Speedway for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 this weekend, what are you hoping to get done there outside of the win? Obviously, the win's the big thing, but what are you expecting there this weekend?
Just another solid finish. And, if you're in the top five, you're running the top five in any of these races, there's always a chance that something can happen. I mean, look at Ross Chastain at Darlington. He ran fifth or sixth all day long. The big wreck happened. He's up front and made it happen on a late race restart. So I think that just goes to show that, if you're top five all day, that's what you got to be every weekend and week out. We've shown that the past two races that we can do that, and I'm really proud of that. So just do that again. We actually have a brand new truck that we just built for this weekend. Never had a new truck before. This is our first one that we've built since I've been the driver in the number 38. So pretty exciting there. We put all the nice bells and whistles on it. Hopefully it's as fast as it looks and we think it's going to be. And yeah, just looking for another smooth weekend. That's what we need as a team to keep building.
So, with the Cup guys, we hear a lot of the folks talking about how the mile and a half tracks really put on the better show. The truck races, I mean, all those tracks seem to just be fantastic for the trucks. But what would you say with the tracks you've raced on so far? Which version of track do you think puts on the best racing for the trucks, in your opinion?
I mean, to me, the truck series is a short track series. It's the stepping stone between the short tracks to the big tracks. I personally think we don't run enough short tracks. I'm glad that we're kind of adding more. But to me, I mean, IRP is the best track. I've ran there well in the past. It's really multi-groove. You can slide job people on asphalt, which is rare. It's a really racy place. So I love IRP. I hold that place near and dear to my heart. And but yeah, no, the big stuff's cool too. The restarts and everything are really crazy. The trucks that punching such a big hole in the air, we're actually drafting at the mile and a halfs. It really matters. In qualifying we hold it wide open. It's a lot different. But once it gets spread out, it's kind of tough just because dirty air is so strong and hard to overcome. To pass somebody, you really got to be better than them, and they really got to be slowing down bad. So it's a lot different mindset. You have to be really aggressive on restarts when it's easy to get the passes done, and really defensive too to make sure you don't get past. So it's very hectic, stressful when you're going that fast. But hey, I'm getting a lot of experience about dirty air. When you get the worst case scenario in the trucks, when you do get in the car later on, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's definitely a proving ground, obviously. Now, Layne, just before we go any further, I do want to take a moment to kind of step back for folks that are watching this. The NASCAR traditionals, they're gonna know exactly who you are. The legacy fans, as we call them, they're gonna know exactly who you are, where you came from. But obviously, with the Netflix documentary that came out about NASCAR, there's a lot of new eyes on NASCAR now. So for those folks who are watching now that know you from what they've seen so far on the track, tell them about how you got to where you are now in terms of your background to get into racing.
Yeah, my dad, Scott Riggs, he was lucky enough, fortunate enough to race himself and made it all the way to the Cup Series for several years. So it was funny when I was young, and I know a lot of drivers' sons kind of feel the same way. They didn't really care much about racing. Everybody's dad must race, right? It's a normal thing. I'm going to the racetrack every weekend. Every other kid does the same life. So I didn't really appreciate what it was all about at the time, and that was especially in NASCAR's glory days, early 2000s. And looking back, that was really cool that he was a part of that. So when he was getting out of it, it's kind of when I started getting interested in it and ran go karts. And I really wanted to race, and I had to beg and plead him to do it. He didn't want me to be a race car driver because he understood the hardships of it. But after begging and pleading, we got my first car and started racing at Orange County Speedway and raced there for several years. Won a bunch of championships in the different divisions, and ran the Cars Tour Series for about 8 years total. So when I turned 14, all the way up until last season, I ran in the Cars Tour Series full time, and I was fortunate enough to now get the opportunity with Front Row Motorsports to run full time in the Truck Series. So it's the dream and the break that every driver at a short track level wishes that they could accomplish one day. And I was starting to get to that point where I wasn't sure if it's going to happen or not. So I'm super fortunate and thankful for the opportunity to even be here in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we head into Memorial Day weekend, obviously, a lot of the focus will be on the Coke 600, but it's still a special weekend overall, really for all three of the series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They do a great job of bringing in military members and their families to be able to watch the racing action and, just kind of step away from their day-to-day life and really just kind of, have a weekend where they can just appreciate other things in life in general. What's your message to the folks that serve in the military that are going to be out there this weekend?
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. It's very important to our country. It's what our country's based off of, and it's really cool that we get to honor them this weekend. I got a pretty patriotic paint scheme on. It's a camo Infinity Communications scheme, and it honors all the veterans that serve, and also the veterans and people who serve that also work for Infinity Communications. So it's a really cool scheme. Thankful to them for doing that. I know they're going to be pretty happy on the racetrack. Hopefully, everybody can see the truck. I know it's camo. Hopefully, it doesn't blend in too much. But it's yeah. I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today without those people.
You might be right about hoping everybody can see the truck, but it might not be a bad thing if anybody gets in front of you and they can't see you, because then you can just move right around them and keep on going down the track.
Exactly. Exactly.
You mentioned your sponsor. They are obviously a great partner to work with. I was out there for the unveiling of your throwback to Darlington, which honored your father's car. And you and I were talking. You said your sponsor was just fantastic in working with you to allow you to do that. And here's another paint scheme you got coming up for this weekend where they've been great partners with you. How special is it to get a sponsor like that to just be just a great partner with you in the Craftsman Truck Series?
Yeah, Infinity Communications, they're a family. It's a family-based organization, and I'd say that I'm part of their family now, and they're part of ours. So it's really good people. They do a lot for me. I wouldn't be where I'm at, or the opportunity, or even be in NASCAR probably without them and the Coffee family. So it's they have a passion for racing. They want to go win races and get trophies just as bad as I do, and they're going to do everything in their power to put me in the right spot to do so. So it's great when you have a sponsor you can call it like a friend, or in a time of need, or as just your partner to go out with and hang out. So it's awesome to be a part of that, and they're excited about this weekend. They're going to be there all watching since it's so close to home, and it's good for everybody.
Certainly is. So, what going into the race here at Charlotte this weekend? Obviously, you've got the family history there in NASCAR with your dad and everything. What has been your favorite moment going to Charlotte, aside from anything you've done on the track? What's your favorite memory of Charlotte Motor Speedway in general?
Yeah, Charlotte's home to all us race car drivers that live in this area. I go to the Christmas lights every year, that's for
Yeah.
sure, and I always enjoy what they do there. They have a great facility, and Dad actually ran. I remember very distinctly. He ran a truck race, one of his last NASCAR starts here at Charlotte, 2014, 13 was one of his last starts. And I remember coming to that race and thinking, man, I just wish I could be out there one day. And here it is. So it's pretty surreal. But yes, Charlotte's always been close, and always going to this track when he was young. When I was really young when I came here, for all the cup races, I don't really remember a whole lot about that. But the Christmas lights and the truck race that he ran, I do distinctly remember.
So for all the kids that are watching that are coming up and they're starting to develop the dream of wanting to be in NASCAR at any level or in racing at any level, what's your message to them?
Don't give up. Just fight for your dream. If you work hard enough and you put in the perseverance and stand out by your craftsmanship and what you can do and how hard you do it, and how bad you want it. That's what it's all about. Somebody else is going to slave harder over it than you are, and they're going to get the opportunity over you. So it's it's all about determination. And I got to that point in my career that I even questioned myself. Am I going to make it? Is this something that I should do? Should I move on? And I knew that this is what I loved and dreamed. And if I didn't get where I'm at today, I would kick myself forever. So I made sure that I worked hard as I could to be in this spot. So determination and don't give up.
Before we wrap up, Layne, I always ask my guests three questions that don't really apply to the general conversation of what we're talking about. So I wanted to hit you with those real quick before we close it out. And the first one is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation. I want to be able to move where I want to. because travel sucks. I
Yeah.
hate, even though I'm a race car driver, I hate driving on the street because it's too much traffic and takes too much time. If I could just teleport anywhere in the world anytime, that's dream come true.
Yeah, it's funny. You're the second guest I've had in a row that has said teleportation is almost the exact same answer. That's really cool. So the second question would be, if you could only have one food for the rest of your life, and it could be, it could be like a certain type of food. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same meal, but one food for the rest of your life, what would you choose for that?
I like Japanese food a lot. Like
Yeah,
I like sushi and all that. I feel like it's a good clean meal to eat, but you can't go wrong with a big old burly steak and
yeah.
a good old fillet steak and some potatoes on the side. You can't go wrong with meat and potatoes.
There you go. You're speaking my language, man. And then the last one is obviously you're very busy all the time, right? With what you do for a living. If you could have one day where it was just a Layne Riggs day where you could do whatever you wanted to do, what would that day be like?
Oh, probably drive a race car somewhere,
Yeah,
be racing. I actually, I had a little bit of time off yesterday and played some iRacing with some of my buddies, so that was a lot of fun. And I always try to get my racing itch out during the week when I'm not behind the wheel on the weekends. So but hey, or a nice trip to on the beach somewhere tropical is always a good thing to relax and just get away from the normal world that we're in.
absolutely. Well, Layne, we'll see you this weekend, this Friday at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'll be back out there again reporting, but wishing you well. You're going to be in the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 down there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Friday night. So, folks, come on out and check it out. It likely could very well be the best race of the weekend again this weekend as well.
Yep, I agree. So thanks to you and all the listeners for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Layne, for joining us.